All right, well, it's 10:29, so I'm going to go ahead and get introductions started here. Just to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. This is a good moment. If you're having any audio issues, to let us know. If we can try to help you, we will. All right, very good. Everybody can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Great. All right, well, so my name is Katie Riggs-Johnson. I am Vice President for Advancement, Communications, and Marketing here at Southwestern College. I also want to recognize Ashley Mayo. She is our Director for Alumni Engagement, and she's the one that's been emailing with many of you, forwarding the link. And of course, if you ever have questions or needs as alumni of the college, I hope you'll certainly reach out to Ashley or I. We're happy to help in any way we can, and just want to do our best to keep everyone connected with the college and with each other, and in support of our students here at Southwestern. So this morning, this is our third coffee chat. The first one we had John Griffin. The second one was Dr. Pat Ross, who talked about the honors program. And today we have Dr. Liz Frombgen, our president. And Liz has been with us for 18 months, I think. Is that right, Liz?
Yep.
And so today she's going to give us an update on all things related to Southwestern College from her purview as president. And I will say Liz and I just returned from a trip to go see some builders in Southern California. We got back late last night and had a great time visiting folks out there, making some good connections. And so it's good to see so many faces right back. We're right back at it this morning, seeing more great builders on the screen, and we're just grateful for y'all taking the time to join us to get an update. And so Liz is going to give an update. I think she's planning on about 30 minutes. Then we'll leave some time for question engagement. You are welcome. This is a come and go. It's supposed to be conversational. The coffee chat concept was to be sort of fun and an opportunity for folks to plug into different points of the college. And so, well, today we are kind of at the very top of the college, and Liz will give us some good information about what's happening here in Winfield and abroad with our professional studies and global programming. So at this moment, I just kind of ask that everybody maybe mute yourselves for Liz's portion of the presentation, and then when we'll let you know when it's time to unmute and engage in questions. You're also welcome to use the chat function, which you'll see at the top of your screen. And when we get to the questions, if you'd like to raise your hand so you kind of know we can work through questions. We've got enough folks on the call today that we'll want to have some process so we're not all talking over each other. So, but again, we're so glad you're here. And with that, I'm going to let Liz take over.
Great. Well, good morning, everybody. I am so happy to be with all of you this morning. And I can see, I'm looking outside my window at the top of the 77, and it's a little cloudy here and about 16 degrees. So it is a far cry from the 63 I think we had yesterday in Palm Springs. So, well, we love to come home. We were happy with the weather in Palm Springs as well. So, but thank you all for joining me today. I just want to, before I give you an update on the college, I want to just express my gratitude. I get to work every single day alongside amazing people. That includes Katie and Ashley, of course, who are, for me, they're in the middle of my screen. But they are, of course, your main contacts back to campus. But I get to work with people like these two every day, and I get to work with board members. Kim is on here, Mike's on here. That might be it at the moment. But I get to work with simply amazing people, and I want you to have confidence. And so I will tell you some things about the college. I'll talk about where we are. I will tell you the things that we are most proud of. I'll tell you our challenges, because you should know. And then I might ask some of you to jump in as you have feedback or things like that as well, as we're talking. So for me, I'm a teacher at heart. I can never be, I'm rarely caught off guard in a class, let's just say that. So I've been doing it for a long time. So, and I am probably the world's least scary college president and probably least formal college president in the history of colleges. So That's why they call me President Liz, which I love. So what I want you to really hear today is that we are a college on the move. And this is my 19th month. And so I'll tell you some of the things that we've done in 19 months. And it's pretty amazing. It's a little, it's pretty amazing. But we are guided by a very bold strategic plan that we have titled SC 2028, Building Our Future, that involves a lot of innovation, a lot of movement, a lot of change, and to both take advantage of opportunities that are before us, as well as respond to the challenges that face us specifically as a college, but also more generally higher education. So let me just give you a little background about the context of higher education today, particularly for small, private, rural institutions. We are facing, probably you know, many headwinds. We will move in for the 25-26 academic year into what we not so affectionately refer to as a demographic cliff. So we will simply have fewer 18-year-olds in this country and fewer 18-year-olds in this part of the country. There are pockets that are growing, but in this part of the country, we'll have fewer 18-year-olds. And so as a college, we are using our strategic plan to kind of position ourselves to respond proactively, if that makes sense. I want you to have confidence. I spent 5 years before coming to Southwestern getting a college in Pennsylvania ready for the same thing. So this is in my wheelhouse. We've done it. We are doing it. You can imagine that it is with substantial challenge, but we are doing it. So everything that we're doing in this moment is really to position ourselves for the next several years, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to everybody at the moment? Okay. So we are on the move. In 18, 19 months, we have launched an honors program, which you got to hear about last month. If you happen to see Pat's presentation and conversation, we have launched 4 new majors on main campus, 3 at SC Global. We have brought to campus a pep band. We packed Richardson Performing Arts Center for Winterfest this year. We packed Grace Church with 2 performances of Eager Heart, which were spectacular and amazing. We've done a lot. We are riding the ship, but it is a big ship to move. I would ask Kim or Mike, trustees, do you want to weigh in at all?
I would just say, Liz, that you've brought tremendous amount of energy to the campus. Your perspective has really been enlightening for us to learn from and to help us to expand our thought process about helping support what the future looks like for Southwestern. So thanks.
Thank you. Kim, do you want to add anything?
Well, I think just a couple things. I think the improved relationships with the Winfield community are just outstanding in terms of both some additional grant support and individual donor support, but more importantly, just a sense that it is Winfield's college again. And I think that's critical. And then I also would say that at the more technical level, Liz is just a lot more data-driven person. And that is absolutely essential in this day and age for the college. And so really making a lot of strides along those lines.
Great, thank you. Yeah. So as we look sort of at the challenges that we face as a college, the biggest challenge, which is true of really actually almost all institutions right now, is enrollment, right? The college has had historically about 90% of the revenue that we spend to support the college operation has come directly from students, about 90%. So when you have an enrollment issue decline, it's really challenging for operations. And so what we're working toward doing is to diversify our revenue streams in all the ways. So I should point out to you, and thank you all, we in fiscal year 23, which ended in June, we run July 1 to June 30th in our fiscal year, we raised over $1.76 million for the Builder Fund. Unrestricted dollars that comes almost exclusively really from alumni and friends, but it's really mostly alumni who love the college. The next largest record was 800,000 roughly. So in a year when we needed it desperately, our community stepped up. So as we move our ship, which we're doing, but it's a big ship to move, so it takes some time, we must have less reliance on student tuition, room and board as our primary source of revenue. It will always be our primary source of revenue. We are proudly an access institution and proudly student focused, right? So when you have that and you have an enrollment situation, it causes a lot of problems. So our enrollment challenges, particularly here on main campus, have been primarily caused, at the root of it is very poor retention. So we have 2 classes right now of our 4, our juniors and our seniors, who retained and persisted into year 2 at under 50%, which is pretty disastrous. We'll just say that. I am very proud to tell you, though, again, I'm telling you, we're moving the needle. We were able to increase first and second year retention, which is the key year. Because if you lose them into year 2, you don't get them back. I mean, that doesn't happen. We were able to improve first, second year retention for the fall 22 freshman cohort into fall 23 from 48.5% to 53%. We have a long way to go, but 4 percentage points is a substantial improvement. I am very happy to tell you, as of right now, this is the end of the first week of the spring semester. We have 85% of our first year students back, compared to 78%. I like data. Kim told you this. I love data. 78% last year. Yes, and then 80% 2 years ago. So we are moving the needle. We have moved the needle, but it takes a long time. So we also saw, and I'm incredibly proud of this work, and because it takes all of us, right? I get to lead the process. People often give me the credit for it. I just get to lead it. It's the people who are working directly with students every day that are moving the needle. I just get to lead us to do it. We saw a far fewer percentage of first-year students placed on suspension or academic probation at the end of the fall semester. Huge movement in that direction. In 2020, fall 2020 and fall 2021, we had about 36% of our freshmen placed on academic probation or suspended. This year it was 20%. Again, we're moving the needle. So we had more students graduate in December, actually at both main campus and at SC Global or PS, than we did last year, which is awesome. We have more builders in the world, right? So we are moving the needle.
It's your highlighter pen.
Right. And I'm so proud of that work because we must move the needle. If you can't retain students, you can't graduate students. And we are in the business of graduating builders into the world. So I want you to have confidence that we're moving the needle every single day. It's awesome work, it's hard work, it's wonderful work, it's all the things. And it's really hard. So right now, as I mentioned, we have 2 classes that are small. So we'll graduate the seniors this year, and then we'll graduate the juniors, of course, next year. So the next 18 months for our college is a really critical moment, right? So really critical moment to begin to do all the things that we to see really the fruits of all the things that we're doing. So strategically thinking about our strategic plan, we know right, that what we must do at the undergraduate population here on main campus is to attract more women. We are an unusual private liberal arts college in which we have 64% young men, and we love them. They don't retain and graduate in the rates that women do. And it's relatively new for us. Up until about 10 years ago, we had more women than men. So the things that we're doing strategically in terms of academic innovation are really about attracting more women to campus. Right now, our freshman women have retained into the spring at about 92%. We've got one more who's going to register, so I think we'll be at 94% versus 84% of our young men. So you can see there's a gap. There's a gap nationally, there's a gap locally, there's a gap. So we are bringing back nursing. In fact, we've onboarded our nursing program director, who's a builder. And we plan to be able to reopen a nursing program for the fall 2025 nursing cohort. So that is in full moving forward mode. We are working really intently with William Newton Hospital, which you would hopefully expect. It's 5 blocks from where I sit, to create a simulation lab with another college. We're all about collaborations. As Kim said, you know, really regaining and establishing ties with the Winfield community has actually been one of my favorite things. It's as you know, it's a welcoming, wonderful community. And we need Winfield to help us. There's no doubt. But we have packed Jant Stadium with people, and that's like 1,000 people. We have just about packed so far Stewart Fieldhouse, which turns 100 years old on the 20th for basketball games. So so what I want you to know is that while we have lots of challenges, we are doing it. And it's great work, it's hard work, it's exhausting work, it's all the things you might imagine, but it's also wonderful. So in addition to nursing, we also know that we simply must diversify our student body on main campus all the more. So our goals include, in the strategic plan, getting the main campus population to 750 students. We will not get there with 18-year-olds and undergraduates, right? There just won't be enough of them. So what we need to do is diversify our programs and bring to campus more graduate students. So to that end, we have advanced. The Board of Trustees has supported my proposal, my request to allow us to move forward to launch a Master's of Science and Physician Assistant Studies. We need nurses, we need PAs. Both programs leverage our strength in the natural sciences, are very much tied to our mission of service to the world, and also, demographically, are female-dominated occupations. So what I hope you can see, while I love data, we are aligned in what we're doing. We know where we're going, we know what we're doing, and we are all doing it together. So, yeah, and Steph mentioned, yes, undergrad nursing will also bring older students. Yep. So the way forward for us is to have a very clear sense of who we are, what we're doing, and where we're going, because there are fewer of us who are doing this work, but we're doing it. And I want you to know that. So let me see if I want to add anything else. Let me see. Let me just tell you a couple of highlights from the fall, and then I will open it up to any questions, just because we want it to be conversational. I could talk about the college all day long. So, but the fall, we really got to see. Well, my reflection on the fall is this. People showed up for each other. Our students showed up for each other. Our employees, our faculty and staff showed up for our students. We packed Rich Jant Stadium. We got to honor people. We've relaunched the Booster Club for the athletic program. We have seen a very robust a cappella choir, you'll be happy to hear. There were 23 students in the choir. And I will let Katie and Ashley and anybody else who's seen them respond, but I mean, they are simply amazing. We had the Bandits, the pep band, brought a lot of energy, love, spirit, care, all the emotions you can imagine to home football games. We also saw the return of Terry McGonigal, who was a 1973 graduate in theater, as a director of theater, and he opened up his 50th class reunion with an all-student cast of Beauty and the Beast. So it was remarkable, it was beautiful, it was amazing. I got to go to I go to everything, you should know that, but I got to go to the a cappella choir concert in November, and it was simply spectacular. Winterfest was, I think, a different one. I mean, people can comment if they got to see it or if you watched the video, but it opened up with the pep band and one of our students in a banana. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. You have to know that young man to know that, of why that's so funny. I mean, it's funny because it's a banana, but like, of why that's so, important. So it really is amazing. And people are showing up for each other, which I'm so proud of, because that's what it will take. So I'm going to end with that, but I'm here. I mean, there's lots I could tell you, but I also want to know what you want to know. Katie, Ashley, did I forget anything? Oh, I should say this before I forget. Okay, how can you get involved? Well, obviously, many of you already have given to the Builder Fund. Katie and I, as she mentioned, we're just traveling. We'll be traveling more, right? I'm going to be in the Washington, D.C. area, Virginia, and Florida in February. I'll be in Colorado in March. I'm going to go back to California sometime, maybe March. I'll be in Chicago in April. We're going to go to Dallas. I mean, we're going to be around because we have a capital campaign and a strategic plan to launch. So we would love to see you.
We're also working on a Kansas City event on February 15th. We haven't sent out invitations yet, but have it on your minds.
That's right. And I think Tim wanted to ask a question or say something.
I wanted to ask, what are your enrollment targets for the RN and PA program, number one, and number two, in the line of healthcare related training, would an EMT paramedic program be a consideration or helpful or feasible?
Yeah, no, great question. So so for nursing, our plan is to ask for a cohort of 25 students, and for physician assistant, we're still a little ways from it, but what I've been projecting and what I have done before, I want you to have confidence. I've launched a PA program at a very small college that had no graduate programs. So our current CFO and I did it together. So, but I would probably ask for 40. I'd ask for a cohort of 40. I think any idea, EMT, we did have some kind of program. Some of you have to tell me about it at one point in time that was related to EMT and paramedic. But yeah, I think, as we look at all of those things, I mean, we know in rural areas, we need all the things, right? So, and one of the key things in our strategic plan is really to focus on how we can contribute to Winfield, to Cali County, to this part of the state, and of course, globally through SC Global, formerly Professional Studies. So no, they're all on the table. I mean, I've even thought about PT, but PT is like 6 years away and probably the most difficult, a difficult accreditor. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
What else? Yeah.
It looks like Susan Cooksey, you've got a question.
Oh, great.
We've got the brothers and sisters leading.
I know. But we are coming your way, you know that.
Well, and in that spirit, my question was, when you go to these places, are you just meeting with alums, or are you also reaching out to local churches to talk to youth pastors, youth groups, parents? Because we need to beat the drum for a liberal arts education. I think there are more voices coming out in support of that. And if we can do that and offer that and talk about the tuition and talk about all the other kinds of things that are offered, I just think that would be helpful. And I didn't know if that was in the plans as well. Yeah,
it's a good question. We haven't planned that as part of the things that Katie and I will do, and maybe we could, but thank you, because I hadn't really thought about that yet. But certainly our admissions team does that. The choir actually also. So actually there are two teams of our students who have gone out to churches in particular. Our choir is back traveling. You'll be happy to know, Susan. Back traveling. I know, right? I know. And if you've met Dr. Hill, oh my. Right. So they're doing that as well as the outreach team, the worship outreach team. So we do have a couple different groups of students who are actively in the church world to bring awareness. But your suggestion is a really good one that Kate and I we'll talk about.
Yeah, and I would
See if
say
we can integrate that. Yeah.
for any of you on the call, that if you are attending, United Methodist Church and you would like us to come, or you'd like Liz to come talk to a Sunday school class, or if you have a virtual Sunday school class and you'd like us to hop in and talk a little bit about the work of vocation at Southwestern College, we've got some interesting work happening right now on campus relative to 2 grants we've received from NetView. And so that's, it's pretty, it's fun to talk about, and it allows us to consider the bigger questions and the way we serve students as they consider their purpose and meaning in the world, in all career paths, which I think does overlay nicely with the sort of liberal arts ethos. And so there's a great conversation around that. So it's a good point, Susan. I will say we've recently heard that the Church of Resurrection in Kansas City, they've got a new Sunday school class that they've formed, and it's called the Builders. So there's enough Southwestern folks there in Kansas City at the Church of Resurrection that they've actually formed their own Sunday school class. So I'm hoping I can get an invite to that. I would really like to pop in sometime and meet those folks. And it's interesting too. So there's been a couple of introductions made in that class where they were living, within miles of each other and didn't know. And so that's, so anyway, I think this is a great question and a good point, Susan, but we are open to all invitations and ideas that you have. So
exactly. Perfect. Well, and you should know too, so part of this grant, one of the grants that Katie just mentioned, it's a professional development grant. So it's about us building capacity as faculty and staff to help our students. And of course, we're vocationally discerned as part of that too. So it's kind of it's a great grant. But on Monday, we have a summit or retreat scheduled, and Jim Robinson, who some of you might know, who's a 1980 graduate, is going to be on campus to talk about actually his father's work. And some of you might, I'm sure, also know his father, or knew his father. So I'm excited to welcome Jim back to campus. I get to introduce him, and that was I demanded that. So I'm excited to see Jim. I see him when I go to Wichita, but I'm really looking forward to hearing about his father's work, and then how Jim, in his own sort of vocation, is advancing his father's work and keeping that alive. So
and this is maybe a good point for me to just point out that, so we've got kind of a package deal in Liz and her husband, Doug, the first dude. Doug is on volunteer contract for the college as a retired faculty member himself, a professor of economics. He's excellent at research. And so he's been working the 2 NetView grants that we've received, Doug has actually written for us in partnership with some staff here on campus. And so we're really fortunate to have that resource in him, because he's very helpful. Of course, he's also active with the food pantry here in Winfield, and I know he works with Kathy Baker there, and doing some work for Habitat for Humanity. But we got a 1-2 punch in Liz and Doug, and so we're really fortunate in that way. I see that Todd, you have a question. So
I do. Thanks, you guys.
Sure.
Hey, move it a little from the strategic vision to more of a tactical vision. Clearly, you inherited some abysmal problems on campus. Tactically, what are you doing differently to increase retention? Because those retention numbers are frightening at best.
Sure. Yeah.
What's changing, and how aggressive are you boldly changing things?
Sure. Well, if you can't tell, I am, I don't usually call myself aggressive. What I am, I say I'm very assertive, and my husband describes me as a Jack Russell Terrier. So I've been owned by Jack Russell Terriers for 25 years. If you know who they are a little bit mighty, tenacious, direct, all the things. So
which would be the definition of aggressive, don't you think?
Okay, sure, fair enough. I think that you're right. So when I arrived in June 2022 and began work in July, I will tell you, I was incredibly concerned about the retention rates. My hair is straight today, but I had curly hair sometimes too, and my hair was on fire about it, because it's really like you can't meet your mission if you're not keeping your students and graduating them. We're about graduating students into the world, right? To become the builders they're supposed to be. So my hair was on fire. What I did immediately, and I have my my experience in the academic side and 5 years as a vice president for academic affairs at a very similar institution really helped me prepare for that. So what I immediately did was formed and then had one of our VPs or associate VPs lead it, a tracking group. So it is the people from student affairs, student success and retention, registrar's office, athletics, financial aid, student accounts, all the people who sort of provide direct service to students every single day. They get together every single week, every Monday, 10 o'clock, and go through the list of students that they're concerned about. And then they figure out who's going to reach out to support that student. So some of it is just literally tactical, as you said, right? It is get in there, figure out what's going on, help an individual student meet their goals. And so that, I mean, we moved the needle very, very quickly with nothing else. We didn't change anything else. And this was in the midst of lots of, as you all know, very difficult decisions. And we were still able to move the needle on retention, right? Things that hurt a lot of people's hearts. At the institutional level, what you also need to do, and it's a best practice, is have a first-year experience. So we've launched a first-year experience program this year. And that provides, if nothing else, it provides a structure by which we see freshmen every single week. So you can do early alerts, you can see them, you can figure out what the problem is as quickly as possible. So one of the things that I think too at the institutional level is that retention is all of our jobs, frankly. It has to be. And so we don't actually have somebody with the title VP for retention. We don't. All that does is make it harder for that person because that person can't do it. It has to be everybody. So everybody is in. And those of you who are around town, we have incredible morale on campus. You might think we don't. It's astounding to me, but we do. And it's because of these people.
What are your metrics? What do you measure in process?
Sure. In the process, so we measure the number of things. Of course, it's quite complicated, but the number of students who need support of whatever kind, and then usually whatever kind, the number of contacts we have with them, and sometimes it takes a lot of contact. You understand, right? I mean, it sometimes means like we're going to go to the dorm, or we're going to go to the class, and so when they walk out, we help them, right? I mean, it really is, we talk about sort of aggressive. It is incredibly active. Like you have to be this way. So it's the number of students who need help, number of students who are on probation, number of students who are in percentage, students who are suspended, all those kinds of metrics. And so, but the biggest metric at the national level is first year students who come in as first time freshmen. How many retain into year two? And how many graduate?
Can I offer one suggestion just since
absolutely.
we're talking?
Yep.
I would also probably slot in a set of metrics. I would really encourage you to measure what you want, not what you don't want. So I would really encourage you to look for a set of appreciative metrics or assurance metrics that kind of pulse the crowd that doesn't demand attention. Because they're having difficulties, but are actually trying to have the best campus experience they could have at whatever level.
Yep, actually, you'll love this. We are doing that. So a nationally benchmarked survey that we haven't done since 2016 called the NESE, it's a National Survey of Student Engagement, we'll do this spring. And that's exactly what it is. It's engagement measures. And so it does get at a number of things, but it allows us to, compared to other similar institutions, benchmark where we are. And allows us to then set goals around, well, what percentage of students do we want to engage in this way? Yeah. So you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. It just, the one thing I'd want to say is that in this case, the student's not the problem. They're really the victim of the problem.
Absolutely.
The problem is much more organizational by nature.
Yep.
So
yep.
Good luck.
No, agreed. Yep. Absolutely. Agreed. Yep.
Other questions from the group?
Yeah.
Inviting.
So you all might like this. I got Kathy Baker to a basketball game.
Yes, for the first time in 50 years, I was in Stewart Fieldhouse, and my husband amazingly went to the game with me. And if you know my husband, you know he hates sports. So this was a big deal. for us.
Yes, I almost fell over when I saw your picture.
Yeah.
No, speaking from the perspective of a local now or a townsperson, the difference in attitude on the campus between last November and this January, and I mean a year ago November, not November 23, November 22, it's 180. It's staff and faculty that I know and speak to. They are so much more optimistic and forward looking than in the time of gloom and doom. So the fine arts is doing really well, and our basketball team was undefeated until I went to see them last week. So they were doing okay, but it was clearly my fault. But I do have a question regarding the article in the Courier regarding the DeHaven money and Rich Jantz and what is happening there. Perhaps you and Kim, Mike could possibly speak to that. How are we moving forward there?
Sure. So I'll say a few things, and then if Mike and Kim want to add anything, you are certainly welcome to. So yeah, so the investigation into the DeHaven funds is complete, and it really found kind of what we had expected it to find, actually. But that's why you do an investigation, right? That's not me doing it. That there was about $1.3 million of the DeHaven gifts to the college had been commingled with college assets over a period of time from about 2017 to 2021 and used to support college operations. We just used to pay normal, just for the rest of you who maybe are not in this world, the article that Kathy's talking about. So it really kind of found what we understood it to be found. And in this moment, two things to really report: that the Board of Trustees in October approved moving the project forward and approved a $2 million project. We have just over $1 million in a restricted account at a bank here, labeled DeHaven. Okay, to be clear, so you all know it's labeled DeHaven. And I have shared that information with Rich Jantz, just so you know he has all that information. And we have met to move the project forward. We have been able to replenish about $250,000 of the missing money. And so that feels good. It's not enough yet, but that feels good. So, and even in tight budget years, we did that. So I'm proud of that because of where we are. And so we've moved the project forward as much as we can in the moment. And a group of trustees and myself are determining the next steps. And I just don't know what those are at the moment. So, but thank you, Kathy, for asking. You can imagine it's not been my favorite thing.
No, I know it's not your favorite thing to discuss, but it's a pretty big elephant in a lot of rooms. What are we doing moving forward to make sure this doesn't happen again? Because I have a husband who's going, why should we give the college more money if we're not sure it's going to go where we want it to go?
Correct. Totally understood. Right. And as we launch a campaign, we need to give confidence to people. So we've done a number of things. So, and I would ask that Kim and Mike jump in here if you've got anything else you want to add to it. So we have corrected the practices in the business office to ensure that when a gift comes in that's restricted, it gets acknowledged that way. And I'm looking at Katie, but you can't tell I'm looking at Katie. Katie's office, and that the gift acknowledgement back to the Kathys and the Ed says the gift went, where it was supposed to go. When a restricted gift comes in and then comes over from the IA office, institutional advancement, to the business office, it is moved on a monthly basis. It doesn't happen daily when a gift comes in, but on a monthly basis, it gets moved over to a restricted account. So to ensure that, we are quarterly, Katie, as a VP for IA, will meet with me and with the CFO to ensure and review accounts and make sure all that has happened. Right. We've also tried to strengthen and ensure that the CFO is independent enough of the president and is comfortable and expected, frankly, to be comfortable to, and I'm looking at Kim because he's been the chair of the Business Affairs Committee, to reach out right? So we've set up a number of things to ensure that when a gift comes in, if it's restricted, it gets restricted in the way that it needs to. So yeah, but we'll be checking it because we want people to have confidence. Absolutely. That's absolutely the case.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
As
Thank you, Liz.
as
Kim?
someone who
Yeah.
has worked in on the boards for nonprofits, though, I would just encourage everybody to consider unrestricted gifts, because those are really the biggest, most valuable thing to any everything has to be done. And then if we're going to trust the college with our money, we should trust the college to do what's right in the moment for our money. So I would just be really encouraging everybody on unrestricted versus restricted funds.
Thank you, Kyle. We appreciate that. We like the most unrestricted dollars, you might imagine. Kim, Mike, do you want to add
but
anything?
there's a place for both.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You're muted, Kim. Hey, Kim, you're muted. You're still muted. And then I see that there are some of you have questions, so just hold on a minute and we'll get to you.
As Kim is maybe resolving that issue, I'll just say from the perspective of the Office of IA, one of the things we've tried to be far more proactive about is really communicating when we have a restricted gift or a designated gift, or it's for a specific purpose or to purchase something material for a program. We're immediately emailing that program director, that faculty member to say, hey, you've received a gift for this purpose. It's our recommendation that if you're able, you should spend it in this budget cycle. If you're not able to do that, here's the process for which you can work with the business office. And so I think that's really just that basic level of communication, so that when, we have folks in areas that they don't always know, the donor's not always communicating with them directly. So that's a responsibility of our office. And I think that's something that had kind of languished through time. And that was a realization that I made. But if nothing else, we need to celebrate the support and the gifts of people who are contributing to the programs that we care about and we're working so hard for every day. And so that's, it's something to be celebrated. And certainly there is the knowing, so that if a program director wants to reach out to a donor and share their appreciation, they're able to do that. But they also know that they have that resource available to them, so that they can strengthen their program and do the work they need to do and want to do. So that's the other piece of that, I would say.
Yep.
Well, I finally figured out, I think, why I was muted. Sorry about that. First of all, I want to thank Kyle for the most important message around this subject, and that is the importance of undesignated giving to the Builder Fund. Liz said that we faced 2 difficult years, 18 months or 2 years, due to the enrollment challenge of really, Todd, working on this retention thing, recruiting students that are more retainable, students that present a more gender balance on campus, which will help retention. And so right now, I don't know what the goal is. It has changed some to the good as the year's gone on. But I hope when Liz or Katie tell you what the goal is, you'll think, well, can I do 1% of that goal? Can I do 2% of that goal? What part of that goal can I do? Because that's really going to be what it takes to create a platform to do these other things, that let Liz and Katie figure out who to ask for nursing money and physician assistant money, and they will, and the rest of us need to be giving Builder Fund. Kathy, that sounded like a political answer to your question about the DeHaven money, so I'll just say a couple of reflections. I think it represents a situation where there was trust, there were questions, but we needed verification, and we're now sitting in procedures to have verification. And this was not a matter of people not asking questions or pursuing the issue. This was a matter of really a practice, I think, more than anything else, that just quit working when we got in tough financial times. I don't know, Liz, if you'd agree with that or not, but I want to assure you that there's a list of new policies and procedures coming to the Business Affairs Committee that will include an actual listing of all the restricted accounts. The committee will now see every quarter. We'll see why there were ins and outs. I think that'll just be better for everybody. So, there can be no expression other than regret to the donors of Bruce DeHaven's project and for all their angst that has occurred, but we're doing our best to correct it. So.
Yep. So some of you had some questions. Yeah. So I think Tim maybe has a question or comment. I think Steph did, and let me see, is there anyone else? Maybe it came in as we were chatting. Tim, go for it.
I just was going to add, thinking about your enrollment issues, one of the other considerations to think about in the community and the region would be and I don't know what's available locally, but a medical assistant program is a really great stepping stone. A lot of those graduates go on to come back to the RN program later.
Right.
And so it's something to think about.
Absolutely. And would dovetail nicely with the other things that we're doing.
That is true.
Yep. And Steph, you wanted to ask a question or have a comment?
Yeah, and Kim addressed it a little bit. One of the other things I think that's really important is the really robust set of financial policies and reviewing those policies and actually having the board review those policies every year. I know that I'm on a couple of boards with that have a fair amount of money, and we definitely, and one in particular, we go over those financial policies every single year. Right. We have quite a bit of verbiage around restricted monies. Katie, I know you and I have talked about this. People are asking, well, where was the auditor in all of this? And the auditor audits what they audit, which is unfortunate in many regards. And I don't know if in our conversations, Katie, if I ever asked, and I don't know the answer to this question, is if you can actually ask an auditor as a standing audit, from year to year to review restricted fund use and to make sure that everything is skookum. And if you don't do that through your auditor, which I'd be surprised if they didn't offer service, it would, particularly given what's happened, it might help with the trust issue if we could say, we have independent parties looking at our financial practices and how monies are being moved. And so, because I think that'll be one thing that will help rebuild that trust, because there will always be someone who will say, well, you still have the fox guarding the hen house. You're going to have to, if I'm giving to the restricted fund, I want, this is not me, but someone would say, I want some independent verification, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah.
Yep. And I think Todd, you had a question or a comment?
Well, I just wanted to come in and reinforce actually the beautiful comment Stephanie just made, but reinforce what Kim said. So anytime you have financial mismanagement, it's always followed by a crisis of confidence. And so you've really got a two-pronged problem. One is that you've got to bring the formality of operations up with your finance. The second thing is you probably ought to take a videotape of what Kim just said and make it available, because your key, think restorative. So who's been hurt, what's happened to them, and who's accountable to fix it. And the key is the language of transparency coupled with formality of audits and assessments, I think is going to be really key. But you really want a voice like Kim to come in and say just what he said, just matter of fact, incredibly transparent. Because if donors who give every year, like myself, have lost confidence, you're kind of screwed. New people are going to have a really hard time jumping on the bandwagon.
Right.
And all I want is that transparency, that we understand the problems there. We understand that people have been hurt by this, confidence eroded, and here's what we're doing to re-engage that confidence. That's going to be really key, but it's this two-pronged problem. And I think you have to manage the technical part and the sociological part of it as well.
Absolutely.
Does that help?
Yep. Yep. Other things you all want to know, want to talk about?
Liz, I always want to know where we look at for enrollment for next year. How are you feeling?
Sure. We're feeling pretty good. So yeah, it's interesting. So if you follow this at all, the Department of Education, of course, has redone the FAFSA. So if you've got kids going off to college, you're experiencing this, but it is delayed. It was supposed to be launched in December, lots of problems with it. So we're doing it a different way to give people estimates on their financial aid, but that has delayed some people's decisions, of course. And so we're a little behind last year right now with deposits. We'll catch up, but I'm confident that we will get close to our enrollment goals for the fall. For this spring here on main campus, I believe we will be at just over 500. Probably 505, 506, 507. We're happy about that. It's a little bit under budget goal, but not by a lot. Actually, with the exact number of more students who graduated in December this year than we did last year. So again, good problem to have, but it has budget realities too for us. SC Global is overall finally meeting goals. It's been a real challenge. We've lost market share in SC Global over the last several years. We are turning that needle as well, or moving that ship, whatever metaphor you like. But it takes time. And so I'm pretty happy where we are. It feels good. We've got lots of energy on campus, but as Kim said, the next 18 months are hard as we see 2 classes graduate that are already small.
Liz,
regarding
can you hear me, Liz?
Yeah. Oh, hey, Phil.
Oh, well, we unfortunately here in Omaha, we have huge snow drifts. Our internet's been out. I can't get out the door. So finally, internet got back on. So sorry, I'm going to join you. And somebody may have already asked this question. If so, I apologize. What about the, we know we applied for the added COVID funds. Do you know where we are on that?
Well, we have, so this is to the IRS. It's an employee tax relief.
Yes.
Anyway,
right.
so the name is slipping my brain right now. So we applied for it back in August before they sort of did their kind of shutdown on it. We're still just waiting. There's nothing more for us to do. It has a long tail to it. We would be hopeful that we would get that in this fiscal year, but I don't know that we will. Okay. But it's still in the same place it has been. So some of you know Phil Dudley. Phil is a 1968 graduate, but what some of you may not know is he was actually my president for 10 years at Hastings College. So Phil and I go back 22 years, Phil.
A long time, yeah.
No,
and
20,
in spite of my leadership, you've done a great job there, Liz. So just think about what I would do and do just the opposite, and you'll be in great shape.
Hey, I'm going to go up there to the York basketball game at the end of this month if you want to meet me in York.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, let me know. I'll be happy to do that. Sure.
Okay. Yep.
Liz, I was going to suggest that maybe just on the note of SC Global, and professional studies, maybe just talking a little bit about bringing down some of the barriers that we had that were sort of existed for whatever reason between our main campus operations and professional studies, which we're in the process of rebranding to Southwestern College Global. So maybe just share a little bit about how we're sort of operationalizing opportunities for main campus students to take advantage of our online.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Kate. I hadn't thought about that. So one of the first things that I identified actually when I interviewed was that we had this really, really, really thick and tall firewall between main campus and professional studies, which seemed to me for a small college to honestly not make a whole lot of sense. So like everything else, we had the opportunity to really bring them together. So administratively now, SC Global, PS, they all the staff there report to people on main campus. So that allows us to bring it together, and that's a work in progress, but we're working toward that. This past summer, we were able to pilot a program for our main campus students to take classes through SC Global, or PS, and that was really a success. I mean, first of all, we kept the revenue tuition dollars with us. There are classes. We can monitor how they're doing better. We can offer support, and it really was quite successful. So we're excited by what we're doing. And so there'll be some modification for this next summer with the things that we learned. But what I want you to get the sense of is that I like data. Kim told you that, and I do like data. I like data of all kinds. We do something, well, we think about what we're going to do, right? We set goals for that. To get back to Todd's point, we set goals, we think about it, we do it. We think about what we did. Did it do what we wanted to do? How did it do that? How did it not do it? And what do we do going forward? It's a sort of continuous improvement model in mindset. It's just how my world has always worked. So we do that for everything. So it's been really, really a fun project. And our students really benefited from it. And part of it is to keep them meeting their goals. That's our job.
All right, we're nearing, we've got 5 minutes left on our call, but any last questions from the group out there? I see that Ashley's put a note in there. If you're interested in hosting an alumni meetup wherever you are in the world, we can certainly look for builders in your area and see if it makes sense for us to get together, and President Liz and Ashley and I, or some combination thereof, can help host a meetup. These have been really great opportunities. We hosted one in Palm Springs. Gala Rap hosted one on Monday, and that was fun. And so we've got builders all over the place, and so it's nice when we can gather them up and get to know each other a little bit better. And there's lots of great storytelling that happens at these, so it's a good collection point. And on that note, as a part of one of our NetView grants, we are going to be doing some collection of stories related to sort of the history and lore of Southwestern College. We received a saga grant, and so Don Plez is really leading the charge on that effort. But we have a team. Terry Quiet, some of you may know, who's an alum. Don, Ashley, and we'll probably have a couple of students helping us too. We're going to be collecting stories and sort of engaging these bigger questions of our college and our history, and specifically related to inclusion and acceptance. Of diverse populations. That's really what NetView was interested in us exploring, but it's going to be really neat. And so some of you may be engaged in that process. So be watching your emails. You may receive some calls from us about that opportunity, but for sure we want to get out and be seen. We want Liz to have opportunities to engage with folks and to meet them and know them, and make sure that people feel connected to their college. One of the things that we're really working on, I hope you feel this, is that we're trying to re-engage in all kinds of ways. We're re-engaging our community, we're re-engaging our alumni population, and so we need your help in that. And if you have ideas, like I said, Ashley and I are here and are at your disposal. So please let us know, be in contact with us. And we're so grateful that you took the time today to get an update from Liz. And certainly as questions, if you're anything like me, whenever a call ends like this, I think, I wish I would have asked this, or something will pop into your mind, maybe tomorrow or later in the next week. Please just shoot us an email. You've got Ashley's contact, and so we'll make sure we attend to those questions. And if you're asking that question, that probably means a whole bunch of other people have it too. So we're happy to know what's on your mind. Okay, with that said, any last, Carl, can you unmute, Carl? Because we can't hear you. Can you unmute, Carl? All right, that's okay. Well, we're all glad to see Carl Martin on there. Everybody give him a wave, Carl. Yeah, what a great guy. Carl, he pops by our office here in IA quite regularly during the summertime. I'm quite appreciative. He brought me flowers from his garden with some regularity, and so we're glad for his presence on campus and all that he brings to our community. So, all right, with that, I guess we all will sing the alma mater now. Just kidding. I'm just kidding, but we could, but we won't. Sing it. You can hum it when we get off the call. How's that? All right. Grateful to all of you. Our next coffee chat will be the first week of February. I've got an invitation out to well, it's actually our nursing program director. She's still getting settled, but I kind of want to have her talk about the vision of the program. And, you know, she's doing some great work as she's hit the ground running. And so that may be it. If she just feels overwhelmed, we may, I've got some other folks in the pocket. So, but like I said, my intention is to have one of these coffee chats every month. It should be kind of a casual opportunity to just catch up on what's going on and a little peek into, your college, to understanding what's going on here. So it's exciting times at Southwestern, and it's cold times here on campus, but we are grateful to be here. And so let us know what you need.
I laugh at your definition of cold times.
Yeah, that's true. Steph's up there in Anchorage. So, but if they said this week we could experience temperatures that feel like 20 below. So that's
yeah, that's real.
That's real. Thank you. Okay.
I'll give you that. That's real.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll say go Builders, and we'll talk to you all soon. Be on the lookout for emails from us.
Take care, everybody. So grateful for all of you. Come home.
Thank you.